President, fellow Rotarians, guests, welcome. I'd like you all to stand up first, please. Okay, so are the ABs going to win the World Cup? If you don't think so, please sit back down. No, oh, hey, that's very interesting. Okay, the only thing I'd say is, keep your hands on your wallets and just keep that thought for a few minutes. You can sit back down. Thank you very much. It always used to be about the great tours in terms of rugby, and these days, while it's changed in terms of professionalism, has it changed for the better? I personally remember some of the great tours, and in particular I remember the 72-73 tour of the All Blacks to the UK and France. In fact, they actually called in and played a couple of games in the States and Canada on the way through, otherwise known as the infamous Murdoch Tour. These tours were the pinnacle of an amateur player's career, and they were absolutely fantastic and actually, really aligned with Rotary principles in terms of being able to create bonding friendships that lasted for years and allowed people to sort of go to other parts of the world that actually some of them would never have got to. But it moves on. But having said that, the tour was yet another successful tour by the All Blacks. And they lost only 5 matches out of 32. But still did not achieve the Grand Slam, which wasn't actually achieved until 1978. But on the 23rd of January 1973 at Cardiff Arms Park, that match has gone down in history. Does anybody know why? No. I'll give you a clue. It's against the Barbars. Exactly, thank you very much, William. It was the greatest try ever, and the score ended up at 23-11 to the Barbars. Thank you, William. So everybody else, hands in your pockets, please, and get hold of those wallets, and let's have some money in the bowls. There was a game that they lost on tour which has been immortalised in a poem. What was the game and the score, and who was the songwriter, and what was the name of the poem? Close, William. 9-3. Exactly, 9-3. Right. Who was the person who wrote the poem? No. A fantastic countryman of mine, Max Boyce, and that was down at Stradey Park, where Llanelli won 9-3, otherwise known as the Scarlets, and it was immortalised. And I just want to read the poem out to you, and we remember that day. 'Twas on a dark and dismal day in a week that had seen rain, when all roads led to Stradey Park with the All Blacks here again. They poured down from the valleys, they came from far and wide. There were 20,000 in the ground and me and Di outside. The shops were closed like Sunday and the streets were silent still, and those who chose to stay away were either dead or ill. But those who went to Stradey Park will remember till they die how New Zealand were defeated and how the pubs ran dry. Oh, the beer flowed at Stradey, piped down from Fillion Foal, and the hands that held the glasses high were strong from steel and coal. The air was filled with singing, and I heard grown men cry, not because we'd won, but because the pubs ran dry. Then dawned the morning after on empty factories, for we were all at Stradey, bloodshot absentees. But we all had doctor's papers, and they all said just the same, that we all had scarlet fever, and we caught it at the game. Now all the little babies in Llanelli from now on will be christened Roy or Carwyn, Derek, Dean, Phil or John. And in 100 years from now they'll sing a song to me about the day the scoreboard read Llanelli 9, Zealand Newark 3. And when I grow old my hair turns grey and I put myself in a chair, I'll tell my great-grandchildren that their Dactu was there. And they'll ask to hear the story of that dark October day when I went down to Stradey Park and I saw the Scarlets play. I was not actually there, but I was lucky enough to attend one of the matches where North West Counties at Wellington played on the 22nd of November. I was aged 10. Anybody know what the score of that match was?
10-0.
Come on, guys, you're all supposed to be ardent All Black supporters here. Like, you know, this is supposed to be a religion here. No, the Northwest won 16-14, so I have to say the very first time I saw the All Blacks live, they lost a game. I was actually quite devastated, I have to say. Exactly. Now, I've said the ABs did not complete the Grand Slam in that year. It was because of a match against Ireland. Anybody know what the score was there? Very close. It was a draw, so I'll give you that. For the rest of you, sorry, pay up. The actual score was 10-all. Now, moving fast forward to the Rugby World Cup, though my country of birth has had some embarrassing moments, there was one really big embarrassing point in the Rugby World Cup history for Wales. Who was the country involved and when was it?
Georgia.
No. No.
Namibia.
Correct. Who said Samoa? Okay. Very close there, Peter. It was even more embarrassing for us because it was only Western Samoa, so it wasn't even the whole of Samoa. And that was in 1991, and we lost 16-13 at Cardiff Arms Park. That was the darkest of days.
Samoa didn't think so.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So moving on from there, we went through a number of dark years, and then, of course, we had the great redeemer in terms of Graham Henry turn up and started laying down the foundations of the improvement in Welsh rugby. And while his history stands out in terms of the various wins and how he brought a more professional outlook to it, probably the most outstanding things that he's ever done in Wales was actually getting the indoor training arena built. And that is now considered as the best in the world in terms of an indoor training arena for rugby. I used to bump into Graham Henry a couple of times. I'd played a bit of rugby in South Wales and with a few mates used to bump into him a few times. And there's a bit of a story. Many years later, he appeared on a TV show and people were talking to him about the pressure that he'd felt while he was in Wales, and in particular with the dark days following the disastrous British Lions tour that he managed. And he was just talking about the pressure, and they said, so look, now you're back in New Zealand, surely everybody must sort of see you as a god and you must be recognised everywhere. And he said, no. He said, in actual fact, he said, there's some startling occasions, he said, when people just don't understand what we're trying to do. And he gave a story of trying to get on a plane at a regional airport in New Zealand. And he said him and Foxy were rushing and they wanted to get on and sort things out quickly. And this rather fierce woman with a very sort of upper-class English accent shouted out to them, who the hell are you? Some sort of Gregarian from the South Island. And Graham continued on, and Foxy turned around and said, oh, sorry, but we're from, we need to get back to Eden Park. And she saw this gorgeous blazer with the emblem on it, and she said, gosh, are you the groundsman or something? And Foxy said, no, that was Graham Henry, and, I'm Grant Fox, and, we're the sort of team for the All Blacks. We need to get back, we've got an urgent meeting, sorry for pushing in. Anyway, that's sort of reiterated across national TV in the UK, and I'll give you, I will stick $50 in the pot if someone can tell me who that lady was.
President Kerry.
No. Close. No. Okay. That's my new partner. I came to New Zealand and discovered that Eleanor, my gorgeous partner, and so I have to say that a couple of years following on from that, I'm on a plane coming back from Singapore, literally a couple of weeks before the start of the last Rugby World Cup, and Graham and I are sat next to each other, and I said, hey Graham, great to catch up. I said, good luck in the World Cup. I said, by the way, do you remember that interview you did on TV talking about this bloody lady who called you a Gregarian from the South Island? He said, yeah. I said, guess what? I said, I'm now engaged to her. And we had a great laugh and caught up after the World Cup, and he met up with her and we had a really good toast. Anyway, look, I said it was time to remember all of you who stood up earlier and backed the fact that you believe the All Blacks are going to win the World Cup, despite the fact that France have obviously woken up and managed to beat England over the weekend. So now it's time to put your money where your mouth is, get your wallets out and stick the money in the pot. Thank you very much.